All right, thanks for staying with us. A great leader possesses clear vision, is courageous, has integrity, honesty, humility, and clear focus. Great leaders help people reach their goals, are not afraid to hire people that might be better than them, and take pride in accomplishments of those they help along the way. An effective leader in Nigeria is viewed as well-educated, knowledgeable, honest, trustworthy, fair in all manners, preserving and sociable in nature. Furthermore, leaders who care for the needs and well-being of people in the face of challenges and life-threatening circumstances are classified as heroes and should be celebrated. So what really determines a person's eligibility to lead, and is being the right candidate enough for that leadership? Please let us hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-84663. So I'm going to bring in Gbadebo in a minute or two. I just wanted to hear your thoughts. Manny and Norma, when leadership comes to your mind, based on the uniqueness of Nigeria. Nigeria is unique, gosh. How do you see leadership in terms of the person, the leader? Is just ticking the right boxes enough for you to lead in this country?
Well, for me, it's a yes and a no. So I'll say yes, because we know what, it depends also what the right means. How do we qualify
everything
right?
Everything is relative right now.
Yes, everything is relative. So what do we mean by right? So this is someone, I would think that is someone with the right attributes for this particular position, for this particular Nigeria. You understand? And then, you know, like the parable goes, they say, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go with people. So if we find someone with the right attributes, it's not enough unless he has the right team of people around him.
Awesome.
That's
Fantastic.
what I think.
I totally agree with Manny, because it's not one man's job. It's not what one person can achieve. And we've seen it over time that we have some people who are potential leaders, but they seemingly fail, not because they don't have those qualities, but the Nigerian setting makes it impossible. So it's a build-up, it's a collection of both being the right person and having the right people around you to push that vision and helping the people to understand what they need and also drive that vision. It's a collective effort.
I'm wondering why we always make the mistake to think that, especially when it comes to elections in Nigeria, we think, oh, once we just elect the right president or elect the right governor, everything else is sorted. We're not thinking through this process of who are the people that will be the main players in that team, because it's a team, plus the Senate, the House of Assembly, the State House of the National Assembly, the State House. All of them, as far as I'm concerned, is a collective, is a team.
Yes,
so we do not actually think through the team. We just think of the one person.
Is it the people now or the person himself?
Yeah. All right, so let me bring in our guests. Gbadebo Rhodes-Viviour was the PDP 2019 senatorial candidate for Lagos West. At 35, one of the beneficiaries of the Not Too Young to Run movement. He is an MIT-trained architect with a master's in public policy from the University of Lagos. My son is a potential MIT, just in case. He has interest in architecture, design, construction, and commodity trading. He's one leader to be on the lookout for come 2023. I can tell you that for free. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
I mean, so it's such an interesting conversation. Thank you again for honoring our invitation. Yeah. So, hearing what the ladies talked about, Manny and Norma, I saw you nodding when Manny mentioned team. Yes. You know, when it comes to candidacy, because the question is, you know, towards 2023, is being the right candidate just enough? You know, when it comes to leadership, because leadership on its own is a completely different ballgame entirely. You know, you can be elected as a leader, but that success for your tenure as a leader, it has a lot of factors that is linked to it. You know, so maybe you just want to touch on that before we now come to you. Okay,
so I think we need to go a bit deeper into it, because there are many people that presumably are the right candidates, but the timing in the country might not be the right time for them. There are many people that might seem as the right candidate, but the zoning requirements is not the right time for them. There are many people that might be perceived as the right candidates, but they have not done the work in their political parties to even emerge. So at the point where somebody is seen as the right candidate, and they have emerged victorious, then they are a reflection of the people that have taken elections seriously, right? And they are supposed to be catering to the interest of those people. Now, the question now will be, we need to separate politics and politicking from governance. They are two entirely separate things. There are people that might be the head of the World Bank, right? And people might look and say, he'll make an excellent president, but has he done the politicking, the networking? Has he got the reach within the political party to be thrown up or to emerge as a candidate? Now, that will be a no. Except you have people within the party that say, you know what, we want you and we're going to back you and we're going to push you forward. So you might be the right candidate, but you don't have the right party, you don't have the right party structure, you don't understand the politics involved. You know, so I think we might be conflating this conversation, because being the right candidate and emerging already then sets you up for governance, which is a completely different thing. Governance for me implies most of the things that you've talked about. But for me, the most important thing is empathy, being able to feel for your people. When you see the accomplishments of Alhaji Jakonde, it was because of empathy. He was not the biggest banker. He was not the industrialist. He just loved people. He wanted to get service. A better life. He wanted a better life to people as fast as possible at the best price as possible. That is great leadership. You look at people like Awolowo, similar thing. You see the free education drive that he did. This was not about his family, it was not about his cronies, it was not about his network. It was a vision for the Yoruba people in the Southwest, which then rippled on to the rest of Nigeria. That is empathy, right? And then intellectual capacity, which is why it's sad that the standard of education or the level of education has been pegged to such a low level for the people that will lead or be leaders. You don't see this happen in any of the countries we look at as thriving democracies or leaders in the world. I mean, you look at America, you look at England, you see the quality of education that people in those in leadership positions have gotten. So that's something that, and I think the Speaker of the House of Rep actually talked about that today, that it might be worth revisiting the qualification requirements for anybody that wants to lead. Because if you're going to lead us, you know, you have to be the best of us. You understand? So those are some things to ponder on. But I do feel that emerging as a candidate is a very big deal. It implies that the consensus of the people around have seen that you are going to represent their best interests. Now, like you said, a lot of people focus solely on the presidency. They don't look at their local government chairman, who is actually very, very important to them. They don't look at the councillor. They don't look at your state assembly, your House of Rep, and your Senate. They always look at the top ticket, which is the mistake. And is a reflection of our political illiteracy, especially in the south of Nigeria. You know, it's almost like premiership. And there's also voter apathy, where people don't actually get involved.
Well, let's talk a bit on the voting. Sorry, I'll let the ladies come in. Because you give us a bit of your political history. You pulled, I mean, from what I gathered, you pulled over 400,000 votes.
No, 270,000.
Okay, yeah, votes in the last election for the senatorial seat that you ran in Lagos. How possible is that? Because I don't really see you more like a politician. You look from your profile, you are more like a technocrat, right? And people have always said that it's not, technocrats really don't really get but you were able to pull that, you know, that much vote. So how was that possible?
Well, I think, you see, there's been a big mistake in Nigeria where, you know, for a long time, and I'm sure most of us of this generation, our parents told us to not get involved in politics. That politics is for bad people, it's a dirty game. So you've left the dirty people to define what a politician should look like. So when somebody comes in, it looks like an abnormality, when really that should be the normal, right? So the idea is you have to be all things to all men. You have to have the capacity to be grassroots. You have to have the capacity to be intellectual. You have to have the capacity to be able to mix with the high and low. It's like a poem by Rudyard Kipling. You have to not lose the common touch, however high you go. And that's what keeps you grounded and allows you to have empathy, which I go back to as the main thing we need in leadership. Because when you lack empathy is also because you're no longer in touch with the grassroots. There's no feedback loop. There's no connection. And that's what we are trying to change. So we want people that are highly cerebral, but also want people that can go to grassroots and campaign and sell yourself, sell a vision, sell an idea, bring hope to the people to get them to come out of their shell and participate in elections. So that's what we did. And also, I have to acknowledge my party for giving a 35-year-old the ticket for the largest senatorial district in Nigeria by population. That's a big deal that they could have that faith in me. And you also find many things that they are doing, trying to even reduce the fees for anybody younger than 35 contesting. Awesome. And then the party coming out again to support you, because it's not just a one-man show. Like you said, it's an entire,
teamwork.
It's a team effort, yes.
Okay, ladies, let me give you the floor. I have a lot of questions. Go ahead.
I can imagine. So, but I just wanted to ask, because I'm listening to you young and you're talking, how were you able to, I'm sure amongst your team, you have older people, you have younger people as well. So what drives you as a team, and with your values, the things that you believe in, how are you, or how were you able to sell your vision to them in such a way that they're able to back you this far?
Yes, I think that, you see, I can only speak for my party. Well, so my journey started from activism. You know, a climax in leading a 2,000-man march in the Senate, opposing the introduction of genetic modified foods into the country. And in the way I was received by the senators that came to receive us, I felt that we needed people that had more empathy making our laws and managing our governance. So I came back and I joined COA Party, and I ran for local government chairman, after which I then went to the PDP. Now, you must understand that every political party is looking for good material. They look at your antecedents, you look at the quality of your education, they look at your mannerisms, look at your humility, look at your capacity to interact with people. Because when you want a ticket, you literally, like I had to go local government to local government, meeting the leaders, meeting the ESCOs, the executives in each local government, and endearing yourself to them. You know, showing that, you know, you can count on me. I'm not going to just disappear. I am here for you, and we will talk. I want you to be my friend. Because on the day of election, you are going to be in one position. Everything that's happening everywhere else will be determined by people that are standing for you and protecting your interest. So you need to galvanize that kind of support and trust and friendship and relationship. You know, so that's what it entails. And when people see quality, or they feel that this is a good material, they get behind you. So you are not so much, it's not an uphill battle, except you are not the right material.
And except you have been faking it.
Except you have been faking it, because these people have been in politics for a long period of time. They can see through, you know, they can see through people that are a sham, that are just there for, but sometimes some of those people sneak through.
Because I was going to ask, are they really looking for the right candidate?
They are, but you know, it's also about a reflection of the times. Right now, you have the NSARS movement. You have a lot of youth getting their voice, speaking out, demanding a seat on the table. And politicians are constantly listening to this, right? And that will reflect in the people that they push out. Because a politician is a reflection of, one, the people that take elections seriously, and two, the times and seasons, right? So that's why a Buhari was able to emerge, because the times and seasons were calling against corruption.
Yes.
Everybody was anti-corruption, 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 right? So these are the factors that play into the leaders' minds when they come together and say, okay, you know what, this is the direction we should go. And you have to do the work to endear their trust.
Manny, want to come in?
Okay, so I would like to ask my question on the Godfatherism in politics. So if you, as a young man, you have your godfather, in quote, help you get to where you want to get to, what happens when this person tries to control you from behind the scenes?
Okay, so let's understand the concept of Godfatherism, right? Because it's a word that people throw around. I don't really think people fully understand. In about 5 years, 10 years time, people will start to refer to me as a godfather. And I'll tell you why.
Because you know the road.
A godfather is a person that knows the path.
Yeah.
A godfather is a person that takes responsibility for the party outside of election season. So when there's no election and your child just gave birth, your wife just gave birth or something, and you need money for your fees, you reach out, please, can you help? I might not give you all the money, I might give you 10,000. The rent for our party secretariat has expired. I'll get up, I'll give you something. All this time, I'm not gaining anything, but I'm doing all of this for the love of the party. Now, in doing that, you're endearing a lot of support among delegates that will go to an election. You're building a following. So if somebody comes from the outside and wants a position, the delegates will say, go and talk to our leader, right? That is who they will now call the godfather. Now, politics is about balancing interest. And the idea for me is balancing interest in the favor of the people, right?
Okay.
As long as you're not lazy and you're ready to do the work, right? That will always be the outcome. Awolowo was balancing interest. You notice they took him to court as well. There were many allegations against him. But nobody can sit back and say that the Southwest or the Western region did not benefit from his leadership.
Absolutely. You know what? Let's take a very short break. Let's go and drink water. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Thanks for staying with us. Now, if you just tuned in, we're having an amazing chat with Gbadebo Rhodes-Viviour on 2023, and we're asking, is being the right candidate enough to lead? Now, please let us hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Please send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-4663. All right, so Gbadebo, I loved you kept touching on empathy. You know, I was going to ask, you know, like what you think about Nigeria and what do you think the qualities of an ideal leader should be like, because you kept on harping on empathy. Are there more, or, you know, we can just land on empathy?
Well, I think empathy is number one. And empathy is not something you just get. Empathy comes from relationships, interactions, you know. I say that we have a lot of people in Nigeria, we don't have a lot of Nigerians, right? If you want to run for president, as far as I'm concerned, at least in 25 states, you should have a good friend who you can go and stay in his house and sleep overnight and eat there without being worried of getting poisoned.
Because politicians, I was going to say that politicians don't just eat everywhere.
Exactly, without being worried about getting poisoned. And I say that because when you have a friend in Kogi and you've spent time with him, you know his interests, you know what makes that state tick. When it affects the way you make policy, it affects the way you govern, right? If you don't have that capacity, you don't know that many people, you cannot have empathy in a directed way because you don't have the knowledge. You might just have the emotion, but you don't have the knowledge. So empathy is extremely important. And then capacity, intellectual capacity. The idea to know that I don't know enough of this, so I need to bring somebody that knows enough of this. And to be able to paint the clear vision of where you are trying to take it. Because in every state, there's a civil service. In every state, the people to do the work exist. You are just there as the captain of the ship to steer it in the direction that you want it to go. And to also set example. So if you're not a wasteful leader, the rest of that chain cannot be wasteful. You know, so that's really what it's more of a symbolic position. Unfortunately, there's been a lot of aggrandizement by politicians, but ideally, if you look at England or America, the politicians are not celebrities. They're on the train. They are there to work. But in Nigeria, unfortunately, because we the people don't necessarily take politics seriously, we vote in people that buy our votes. We vote in lords over us, as opposed to servant leaders. And that's why we sort of have the dynamic we have.
I was going to say
of service. So it's one thing to say we voted them in. It's another thing to say that they don't know what they're doing there because they are supposed to be servants, like you said.
Yes, but it's very difficult for people to be servants if they spend billions buying their way into a position. So it's a chicken and egg situation. A man wants to lead. He wants to do well for you. He wants this vision for your better life. But you're telling him he should pay you to exercise your civic duty and put him in office to do good for you. See, there's a misnomer there. There's a problem.
He's trying to get back what he has spent.
So it's a two-way street. We need people to get more involved in politics. We need people to get more involved in financing. You look at in America, in England, people are raising funds for their politicians, so the politician does not feel entitled. The politician goes in feeling that he is obligated to serve, right? But in Nigeria, you want to run, they were asking you, do you have the money? Do you have the capacity?
Thank you.
And then you then expect that same leader to come in and be a servant leader. It cannot work.
I bought it. You did, yeah. He would say, I spent my money, so I'm obligated to recoup.
You have to
choose.
This
came from a mindset that has been fed to the people over time.
Yes.
So how is that narrative going to change?
Okay, but that mindset was not the original mindset.
Absolutely.
If you go and talk to people like Gbadebo that were with Awolowo Action Group, it was not about your money, it was about your argument, the quality of your thesis, right?
When did it change?
It changed with the military incursion into Nigeria, the corruption of the system, right? That then commodified everything, right? And eroded a lot of our values, right? But if it can change like that, it can change back.
So how do we go back?
First of all, I believe that the middle class are the guardians of democracy, because they don't need your 500 naira or 1,000 naira to vote. Now, unfortunately, they don't come out to vote.
Thank you.
And a lot of the middle class also have influence over people. They have influence over people that work for them. They have influence over people that they help. Go and vote. I'm giving you this, go and vote. Go and vote, go and vote. The more they get involved, the more they understand their responsibility in a democracy, the more we'll be able to swing this pendulum from ultra-materialism to let's do what is right for our future. Let's not make a decision just based on now. Everybody in the middle class that's upwardly mobile has a voice, and they're a huge population. We have over 6 million registered voters in Lagos. We barely have 1 million plus people that come out to vote. That's like 16 or 17%.
You know, let's stay on this middle class for a minute. You know, what's your take on this, you know, what do they call them, non-portfolio candidates coming up and trying to infiltrate the system?
Please explain what you mean non-portfolio candidates.
You know all these people that you are, what's it called? How do they put it?
Independent candidates?
Yes, independent candidates and technocrats that they believe that, oh yes, I have worked in the corporate sector, blah, blah, blah.
I have what it takes.
I have what it takes. You know, you don't have a party, but you believe you can run.
You see, I believe that the process of politics and politicking is what makes you a politician.
Yes.
And if you don't go through that process, there'll be something missing. There'll be something missing in the way you communicate to people. There'll be something missing in how you sell your ideas, how you sell your vision. Politics humbles you. You can go to Harvard, go to MIT, whatever.
Exactly.
Your ward chairman can expel you from the party.
Sure.
Your local government chairman in a local government different from the one you have can decide that they are not voting for you. So how do you humble yourself to make that person feel that, you know what, I like this person, I think this person will be good for our party, and I'm going to get behind this person.
Yeah.
How do you leave your ivory tower and go to one face me, I face you somewhere in Ojo or Kirikiri?
But you see, that's what I'm saying, that these people that are so-called technocrats, or I want to change the system, I've worked really nicely in the corporate sector, they actually, for some strange reason, these young people that you talked about that we are not voting, in terms of the middle class rather carry their vote and go and vote
a technocrat.
Those kinds of people.
So you know why? Because they're not educated.
Yeah.
So I think he was saying something about polytracy.
Yes.
So it's about educating people.
Which
so
is a core
very, very important. I think they should even put it in the curriculums of the schools.
Because they would argue with you forever that they are not wasting their vote. Because most times I tell them, if you are not voting X, Y, Z, forget it. That vote, as far as I'm concerned, you just wasted the vote.
Yeah. Exactly.
They would stand strong and argue with you.
Because they don't know that it's not enough to
So how do we get it
intellectually sound?
These people can actually win an election if they know. You know, so what are you saying to those electorates that do not even, they're not literate enough to understand that some things has to stay within the political structure?
Yes, so for about 3 years now, I've been doing a lot of advocacy, trying to get people involved. If you search a hashtag on Twitter or social media, hashtag get involved, you see so many tweets, so many efforts of, for instance, we published the phone numbers of all our local government chairmen. and broke it down so that if you're interested, you can call him. We made arrangements with them so they would direct you directly to your ward so you can get involved. So many people actually. Yes, they did.
Really?
I mean, we've gotten over 3,000 people.
Really?
I'm talking upwardly mobile people that will contribute to elections. They've joined the party on that effort.
That's
so
nice.
we've engaged in that direction. And you're right, there's a lot of voter, not just apathy, but illiteracy as well.
Yeah.
And that is changing. You see, there are more people getting their voters' cards now. There are more people that understand that, you know, you cannot wish Nigeria better. You need to do the work.
Yeah.
And you need to do the work through a political party. So you can ensure that people that are like minds get into political parties. You can fund them to make sure that they emerge as the candidates. You have your part to play. You cannot just fold your arms and think that somebody without a structure to win a ward or local government was going to emerge as a presidential candidate.
Absolutely. I like what you're saying, because you know why? I was listening to the radio on my way driving and all of that. Everybody keeps saying that Akinwumi Adesina is a good candidate for presidency, that he should run for office. I just look there. You think it is because it's a mixture. You can't just be good at one thing.
Exactly.
You must be good at so many things.
Yeah.
You know,
interpersonal skills.
Everything has to be taken. So it's not enough for you to say, oh, this guy is breaking the grounds in the world stage. What exactly are you doing in terms of grassroots?
Exactly.
How do they know you, like you rightly said?
Exactly.
Let's take some comments from our audience, please.
All right, we have a text message here. It says, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Right candidate is good, but not enough. When you're chosen, you should know it's a privilege, that many people are better than you. The right candidate should respect the citizens, choose the right team, knowing that nobody knows it all. There is need to be accountable, show empathy, and be a responsible leader. Empathy is coming up again. The right candidate should not only have a clear plan, but know how to bring it to fruition. Admit when you make a mistake and apologize as well, because we're all humans.
Nigeria.
Always be ready to explain confusing policies to the populace and give them hope. The right candidate should reject tribalism, religion, and sentiments. This is from Bissy.
Very, very articulate. Thank you, Bissy.
Well articulated. Thank you.
So this person didn't put their name. Says, good evening, ladies. The problem really, the people really want a right candidate, but majority of the people are in for stomach infrastructure. I was going to come to that. More so, voters' illiteracy is still a big problem. It's still the biggest issue.
Yeah.
So when we talk about stomach infrastructure,
so that Mrs.
you is that her? Okay, you touched on. Oh, okay. I thought oh, sorry. You touched on education, and I always say that I have studied Nigeria so well. I believe now, this our poor education is a tool in the hands of our political leaders. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So because I see no reason why people still collect 1,000 naira or 500 naira to go and vote, because you cannot come to me now as I did like this. My eye is very big. If you want to bribe me, you have to bribe me very well. You know, that's the truth, because I understand
that's why they won't come
the implication of putting the wrong person on that seat. So we still have issues with stomach infrastructure. If you were to be the right candidate to lead in a place where there's so much hunger, how would you navigate? Because you still have to find a way to balance that hunger,
the people.
at the same time tell them that this is a better choice than the other person that is just giving them food. So how would you navigate that?
So again, I think that one of the first things I learned contesting on that core party, which was mainly, I was extremely idealistic. I was the right candidate in my mind, and I believe that people should think like me. You know, you should be able to put away your hunger for today in the hope of a better tomorrow. And I learned the hard way.
It won't work.
It does not work like that.
It won't work.
See, you have to understand what is going on the ground.
Right.
You need to meet Nigeria where she is to take her to where you want her to be. You cannot wish that poverty away. You cannot. Now, some people avoid being outrightly buying votes by building relationships over time. Right? And you're taking care of people you are building sustainable means of taking care of people. There are some people that empower one person in a community so that that person can take care of people, get people jobs and things like that. So there are multiple ways you can do these things, but you cannot wish away the poverty. The only way you can do it is engage in law of voter education, make sure you bring more middle class people on board so that it's not just we bought votes. You know, so when you look at the results, you look at those numbers, you know how much money you spent at that polling unit, and you know for a fact that no, this is the people's mandate. I did not just buy this election. And that's what we need, to start having leaders that are accountable to the people.
So, Gbadebo, you said a lot, and really it sounds very interesting, you know. But I would also want to ask, because there's this thing about young people coming out and they say it's all talk and no action. What are like strategic plans that you or your team would have, if given the opportunity, that you want to use to engage especially this middle class, which is a serious issue in politics, basically. Yeah. How do you plan to engage
so
the middle class?
It's not so much plan. I'm already engaging them, so let me just say what I'm doing. I think most people define me as upward middle class. I'm leading by example. I'm not just talking. I started in COA party. I did not say I want to be president. I went to run for local government chairman. I documented all of these things. I crossed over to PDP, track record. I crossed over to PDP, documented all my movements. So what I've been trying to do in the last 3 years is demystify politics. So people can actually start to see how it's done. It's not so much about me. I know that if I can show people how this is done, more people that think like me will come in. Right? More people that want to, they feel that, you know, I've gone to this good school, I cannot go and know.
Platform.
You can now come in because Gbadebo has shown the way that it's done. So that's what I've been doing. Also, things like making you have access to a local government chairman. And you call him and you know that these people don't buy it. This guy is happy to have me in his party. We're excited. You know how they say every time a sinner confesses, angels dance in heaven. That's how we are.
So we are sinners now.
The more people that come to our party, the more excited we are, the happier we are. We want everybody. We want you to get involved.
There's still a big elephant. Hold on, I want to talk. You know, there's still a big elephant in the room.
I'm listening.
Two major parties.
Yes.
There's an APC, there's a PDP. We say you guys are birds of same feather.
I don't agree with that.
Wait now, I'm giving you feedback.
I'm listening.
From us, the people, the middle class, because you have to convince us.
Yes.
You know, so but you know, when I actually interacted with you and on one-on-one basis, I was able to tell that this person has some level of sincerity. You know, I can't tell all because you can never know all.
Of course.
You know, and I know that amongst all parties, there are individuals that stand out in terms of their integrity and all of that. But you see, that general blanket statement that says PDP, APC, they are all birds of same feathers and all of that. How would you be able to overcome, surmount that narrative? Because it's a strong narrative. Because right now, let me tell you what we, the middle class, are planning to do. Once we see APC, once we see PDP, we move to the third option. That's what I think a lot of middle, because we will use vengeance and anger when it comes to 2023 to vote. We will still come out to vote. But I'm seeing that there's going to be a lot of vengeance voting. Like you just want to vote anything but APC or PDP, you know, and I know that it will also be a very big mistake.
Exactly.
Right? I know, but not many people are calm enough to understand that this is not the way.
Educated enough.
Yes, you know, to understand that this is not the way. So how do we surmount that challenge?
Okay, so for me, like I said, a lot of activism has been going on. I vehemently feel that APC and PDP are very different parties. Very, very different. I mean, PDP enshrines the idea of not just your freedoms, because PDP will never have banned Twitter. That's just a fact. PDP enshrines the idea that it's okay to make money. It's okay to get wealthy. It's okay to be innovative in that. PDP will never have banned crypto.
So they are pro-Nigeria.
We are pro-success. You look at the values over employment, you look at our values in terms of income, the way the economy was, you see a very deep dive with the APC. PDP is not a party that believes in one big leader. No. That's why we're always fighting ourselves. Because we believe in democracy. We believe in it so much. There is no, when people talk about Godfatherism, yes, there are people that have been in the party and have paid their dues, but you still see a young upstart to come and fight the person. But then in APC, on your way to the field, your grandfather will call you and tell you to step down because somebody has called him and threatened him.
You write a check from PDP to Waze. So
you asked the question.
I know
You just gave me a platform.
So because we've run out of time.
No
so what do we say in wrapping up? What do we say? What do we say to
being the right candidate?
Yes. What do you say to the electorate? Because it's very important. I want you to speak to the electorate. I want you to also speak to your fellow contestants. Because sometimes I see a lot of big mistakes happening. People think, oh, let me go to a no party. I mean, Milola and I, we had that conversation. It says it's a no-brainer, right? You have to infiltrate the bigger parties. We want more people like you to come into the PDP, so that we can have a fair chance. So what are you going to say to people that are thinking of vying for office in 2023, the candidates that they feel that they are right enough to lead? And what would you say to us, the electorate?
Okay, so to the candidates that feel that they are great candidates, candidacy is more than your education, your background, or even the money you have. The hardest thing to build is consensus. For different people from different backgrounds, different ideas, different upbringing, to agree to go in a direction, that's one of the hardest things to achieve. And that's what politics is. Until you start engaging in that, you have not started serious politics. So I advise that you come into one of the parties that at least has a structure to defend your votes in whatever constituency that you're interested in. So that's the first thing. And to the people that are going to vote, we need to understand that politics is not just what happens when it's 2023. It's what has been happening between 2019 and 2023. We have done congresses. We have elected state schools. We have people that will be at every polling unit. That's what a party structure is. Now, wasting your votes with somebody that does not even have up to 100 people to defend his votes is a waste. But you can ensure that you do the work to find candidates that represent your interest. Whatever party, back them up. You can print posters for them. You can print t-shirts. You don't even have to give it to them. You can just be sharing it in your neighborhood and be involved, be active. Ensure that those people, regardless of the party, are put into office. And then you have done your part. So it doesn't have to be a PDP, APC, ADC thing. Do the work and identify the people that represent your interests, all the way from the presidency to your state assembly. Because that chain of command is what makes Nigeria go round.
So do you want to steal 2 seconds to tell us what you're working on? Or we should just leave that on that wrap for when you come? It's going to be revealed very soon. But thank you so much. I think we've had a fantastic, I hope you had a good time with us.
It was lovely.
We would really love to have you back. Honestly, thank you for what you do, and we hope that you're successful in all your endeavor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Manny. Thank you, Norma. We had a fantastic show. All right, so before we go, do ensure you follow us on Instagram. It's at PlusTvAfrica. You can interact with us further, drop a comment, and most importantly, follow all our social media engagements. And remember to like, share, comment, and invite your family and friends to watch and follow the conversation. If you loved our guest today, he's on social media, go and follow him so that you would understand where he's going to, the direction he's going to. Although your account is private, you have to undo that. No, not private. Really, why was I having difficulty tagging you? All right, so if you missed today's quote, here it is again. Everybody can be great because everybody can serve. You don't have to have a college degree to serve. You don't have to make your subject and your verb agree to serve. You only need a heart full of grace and a soul generated by love. This is from Martin Luther King. We'll see you guys tomorrow at 8 p.m. as we bring another great conversation to your screen. Enjoy.